Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. Today we've got the infotainment breakdown on the 2024 Hyundai Tucson. In this video I'm going to show you how to use the gauge cluster and the infotainment screen, show you how to pair up a phone, use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and the car's voice commands, and try to answer any questions you might have about the system. But before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. Not new for 2024, this model's been out for a few years, so this video should apply to some of the older models as well, but the Tucson still has a strong argument to be made here in the mid-size crossover category for 2024. There's a lot to like, so if you do want to see more of my thoughts on the car, check the link below. We're going to have a fuel economy test of this base gasoline powertrain, something we haven't tested before. We've got a review on the Bose sound system, normal review, all that will be linked below. My first recommendation, if you get yourself a Tucson, maybe you've got a rental car, maybe you just purchased one, I don't know, but try to spend some time playing around with it, especially if you're going to own the car. Take half an hour, sit in your driveway, be out of the sun, don't be aggravated or anything, and learn where some of the controls are in the vehicle and how to utilize some of the system, set it up for your own. First things first, right off in front of you, you've got this gauge cluster screen. It's just one big rectangle, but it's got some fake analog gauges in there. We've got our distance to empty on the bottom left. Right above that, we have kind of a fuel gauge there. Then analog speedometer. I assume most people probably won't be really using that, but I guess it depends on what you have up in your center display. You've got your gear indicator kind of up to the right from there. Those four little icons in the top middle of the screen indicate which display screen you're on. We're going to go through those here in a moment. Then over on the right, you have a tachometer giving you your engine speed, engine coolant temp within that. Bottom right, we're seeing an odometer. And then on the very bottom, you're seeing what sort of average fuel economy you've been getting. Just next to that, you've got your outside temperature. Right in the middle are customizable information displays. Right now it's giving us digital speed, which you'll toggle through with this right button, and that corresponds with the display that's up on the top of the screen there. So the first one on the left is a driver information screen. It's going to show you how close you're following somebody with your adaptive cruise control and when the last time you took a break was. Pressing this button to get over to the next screen, we're seeing digital speed, drive information, since refueling information, and accumulated info, giving you a trip odometer, average fuel economy, and the time. Making our way over, we've got a navigation screen. If we had a destination set on the nav, then it would be showing us our next direction, but we've just got a compass for now. And then all the way over on the right, some information about your car. You can see where power is being sent using the four-wheel drive system or all-wheel drive, and then your tire pressures will display when you're driving. You do have a little bit of a hidden menu. If you're back over on this left screen and you're stopped, you can hold this OK button to bring up your settings. And then that brings up vehicle settings in the center. So we'll get to that back here in a minute. All the other buttons on your steering wheel here, we've got some paddle shifters in the back. We've got voice control here, mode for which sort of audio you're listening to, toggle between your radio inputs or your media, Bluetooth, etc. Volume, track selection, a phone for either answering or hanging up calls. This is a custom button, so you can press this, and then you can choose what you want it to be. You can choose to have it be reject or end a call, change the hands-free calling device. Privacy mode, that's kind of nice. Voice memo, if you like to leave a lot of voice memos. Go to the home screen, current location on the map. There's a lot of different options you can choose for setting that button there. Hold it down to change the functionality. Over on the right, this is the button to toggle through those main information screens. Turn your cruise control on and off, set your cruise control or adjust the speed, toggle through the information screens and the center screen, turn on or off your active steering control, and change the distance of your adaptive cruise control. Making our way into the center. This is not a huge infotainment screen considering what's available on the market these days, but what I've appreciated about it is it's built nicely into the dash, it's got decent resolution, and it's decently responsive. I don't know if they've put in a faster processor for 2024, but it is responding pretty quickly to my inputs, so I've been happy with that. You'll usually see it just a little bit on this kind of home screensaver menu, if you will. You get some information about your clock and your media and the outside temperature, but if you slide over to the right, then you've got various applications, which we'll get to here in a moment. Below the screen, you can see our climate control and some physical buttons for volume, map, navigation, another custom button, which you can change to a lot of different options. I usually go with phone projection, get you quickly to your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Seeking back and forth tracks, radio, media, and a setup screen. Before we get into these individual applications, you can see up here we have a profile screen, user profile. So if you share this vehicle with other drivers in your household, you can set up different profiles for your media presets, your sound settings, etc. Hyundai will be adding more and more functionality to that, so I highly recommend you set that up. And you've also got a quick toggle to your home screen, and up top there as well is a little menu icon, and then you have your clock, date, and some information about which phone is connected. Starting off with map, it's a fairly simple map. I typically just do navigating with my Android Auto, but it's nice to have this basic map here, so maybe if you just want it up to kind of see what streets are around you, then you've got that there. But it does provide, let's see, pinch to zoom functionality. Even if it doesn't update super quickly, you can drag around. You can get back home here. We'll test out setting a navigational input later on with the voice controls. If you press the nav button, then you get a navigational menu. This is going to show you nearby points of interest that you can choose from, previous destinations, saved destinations, quick toggles to Hyundai dealerships if you need some fixing for your car, or you can simply do a search. On the phone screen, if you have a phone paired up via Bluetooth, then you can dial in numbers, you can see your address book, scroll through there, and you can even see your text messages if you have it set up on your phone. We'll show you how to pair up a phone later on in the video. Phone projection, that's going to be your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. We'll get back to that. Then you have voice memos. Some people like to be able to leave voice memos in your car if you want to remind yourself of something later that you can't necessarily get to while you're driving. It's nice to have that functionality. Climate, if you want to be able to access some of your climate settings in the touchscreen rather than simply using these physical controls, you have that option there. Valet mode, this is going to lock out certain aspects of your personal information, paired phones, etc. If you are leaving the car with a valet, you can set a 4-digit PIN and have them be locked out of some stuff. Hyundai Pay, if you register this up with your My Hyundai and BlueLink account, then you can pay for fuel or food directly from the infotainment screen. I don't see this being a functionality that really takes off, but a lot of manufacturers have been trying to implement it in their vehicles in order to make more money. Quiet mode, this is nice. If you've got a baby sleeping in the back, then this is going to keep all of your beeps and your notifications and your volume for your radio down at a lower level. It's nice to have. HD radio data, this will provide you traffic, radar, and fuel price information via HD radio. This is kind of nice, so I can see around me. Oh, all right, if I want to save some money on fuel, I'm going to go to the Arco station that's 1.1 miles away, and if I click go, it's going to set that right in my navigation. See how quickly everything's responding? I really like that. Radio, this is how you're going to get to your radio display. You've got AM, FM, and Sirius XM radio. If you do want to see a more dedicated breakdown of the infotainment system, or of the radio and sound system, check the link below for our sound system test. But you can scroll through the different channels here. These are your favorites. If you click channel list, then that's going to show you a sequential list of all the different radios depending on what input you're on. Heading back home, we've got the setup screen. We'll get back to that here in a moment. Let's go to media. So I'll show you different media inputs. So say, for example, if I'm listening to USB music, then that comes up and I can see what all of my different USB tracks are. Got anything else? BlueLink, this is how you're going to access the Hyundai BlueLink suite of information, maintenance information, vehicle diagnostics, calendar, and weather. Any notifications that you might have, things that you need to know about your vehicle, tell you there. And lastly, a user's manual that is essentially just a QR code to bring up a user manual on your phone. Let's dive into setup. We're not going to go through every nitty-gritty setup detail, but I'm going to try to point out some of the things that might be important for you to know about your vehicle. So starting off with the first option, vehicle. Driver assistance, these are going to be all your different safety settings. I'm going to recommend you leave most of them on, but if you're somebody who, for example, likes to change lanes without using his or her return signal, you might want to turn off something like the lane safety. Change that to maybe off or warning only. Then that's going to make it a little bit easier for you to drive. Under cluster, this is going to allow you to change to different gauge cluster themes. Look at this. Cubes. I like that. It's a little easier on my eyes, a little more fun. There's also Classic A, Classic B, a little bit more of a sporty, or Classic C. Again, that one's a little easier on my eyes as well. I'm going to go with Cube for a little while, but I'll probably end up switching it to Classic C. You can also turn on or off your welcome sound when you get in the car. Some people like hearing that when you turn on the vehicle. Some people don't. Down under seat, this is something that you might want to be able to turn on or off. Your seating easy access. Right now it's set so when I shut the vehicle off, the seat moves backward, allows me a little bit more room to get out of the car, but that could be annoying to some people, and you might want to turn that off there. Under lights, you can change settings for your ambient light within the cabin. Got a lot of different colors to choose from here, and you can adjust the brightness of it as well. You can also turn your high beam assist on or off. Under door, if you want the doors to automatically lock or unlock depending on which gear you're in, you can enable or enable that. Power liftgate. The power liftgate button can be used as an automatically open and closed liftgate. That's nice to have. You can also change the speed of the liftgate. I don't know why you'd want it on normal. I'd probably want it on fast pretty much all the time. But if you have a low garage, this might be important for you. You can change the height that your power liftgate opens. Smart liftgate opens the liftgate automatically when approaching the liftgate with the smart key. That can be really annoying or really helpful depending on how you use your vehicle. Digital key, this is going to be how you set up a digital key. If you have a smartphone, you can actually have the phone be your key. You're going to do that setting up in there. Under convenience, you've got a rear occupant alert. This is going to alert you if you've opened the door back there and maybe put something in, a child or groceries or something, and then as you shut the vehicle off, it'll remind you to check for that. You can also turn on or off the wireless device charger here. I'm actually going to turn that off because since this is only wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, I'm going to have my Android device sitting in there. I don't want it to get too hot. Navigation settings. If you're going to use the built-in navigation, I recommend you go through there, see if there's any tweaks you might want to make. Sound settings. This is how you're going to change your fader and balance and your treble, mid-range, and bass. Device connections. This is where you're going to see which vehicle or which devices are connected via Bluetooth. We're going to get to that here in a moment. User profile, again, we saw that earlier. Voice recognition. Reduce the number of voice recognition prompts. This is going to be nice if you're used to using your voice recognition. You don't need to be talked to as much. If you want the system to go more quickly, you want to have that on. Screen layout. This is going to be another ability to change the gauge cluster screen as well as change which screensaver you see when the screen is off, and allow you to do different elements of the infotainment in a split screen layout. So if I go to map, for example, I can click this side element and then have split screen. I can have something like my weather over on the right and the map on the left, or a calendar, compass, etc. Under display, this is going to be how you can turn the display all the way off if maybe you're driving at night with your cruise control set and you don't want to be blasted with light right there from the center. You can turn it off, but you can also just adjust the brightness. Definitely good to be able to do that. You can also turn on a blue light filter. This will make the screen a little bit more reddish, especially at night, and be a little less harsh on your eyes. Under button, this is another way to change these custom buttons, as well as change a few of the methods of changing through modes and various inputs on the steering wheel. And under your general settings, this is going to be where you adjust your date and time. If you don't want it to do it automatically, you can change between different languages, different keyboard settings, different units if you go into a different country. And importantly, way down here at reset, if you go to sell the vehicle, you're going to want to use a reset all right there to clear all of your information out of the car. Okay, let's take a quick look at voice commands. If we press this button here, navigate to the nearest Starbucks. One. Yes. So it would be talking back to me right now
guidance will start now
if I didn't have that reduce voice prompts options on. Cancel navigation. What's the weather like tomorrow?
There will be intermittent clouds with a high of 65 degrees and a low of 49 degrees in Lake Forest tomorrow.
Okay. Set the climate control to 72 degrees. Okay, so those voice commands actually working pretty well. Decent amount of responsiveness, and I like how it's telling me over on the side what it's seeing. The words that are coming up on it. All right, let's pair up a phone now. We're going to start with an iPhone. So this will be just Bluetooth only to start off with, and then I'll plug it in and show you Apple CarPlay. To do Bluetooth pairing, you're going to go over to the settings screen on your iPhone. You're going to choose Bluetooth. Open up that menu, and then in the car, you're going to go to Setup and then Device Connections and add New.
Bluetooth on from your device.
Scroll down, you see Tucson.
On your device.
Pair. Press Allow on your device, and there we go. Now the phone is connected via Bluetooth, so I could play music, I could make phone calls, do text messages, but no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. In order to do that, we have to actually plug in. So I've got my handy dandy cable. I'm going to have to unplug my USB that was being used for audio earlier, because there is only one port for data transfer. It's this one that says USB. This one over on the right will only charge your device. Fortunately, plugging in for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto means it is very quick and easy to set up. Just agree to a few quick things, and I've got Apple CarPlay popping up there. Look at that, taking up the whole screen. Not the highest resolution, but the buttons are a decent size, easy to press things. Really good responsiveness as well. Let's bring up Google Maps. You can see that slide ability there. No pinch to zoom with Apple devices. Here's your YouTube music. Loading up. What's the Super Mix giving us today on the iPhone? Some CKY. All right. If we go back to the home screen, you can see how your music's going to look over there on the right with your navigation over on the left. And to get back to the Hyundai screen, you can either click one of these hot buttons, or if you're in the phone projection, you can bring up the apps and then press Hyundai. How about Android Auto? Same thing. I'm going to simply plug in my Android Auto device, and then I get the prompt to continue with Android Auto. And there it is, Android Auto loading up. I just realized that I'm using my device without any sort of data connection. So we're only going to see a very basic layout of Android Auto on this one. But we can see our Google Maps right here. If we click on Google Maps, it'll bring up the whole screen. We can pinch to zoom at least with Android, so that's nice. Good amount of responsibility. And let's go over, do we have any downloads on this phone? All right, no downloads on YouTube Music, but that's what your YouTube Music's going to look like. And then again, if you're home, you got kind of the split screen layout here. And same thing, you can get back to the Tucson home screen like that. So there it is, the information, infotainment, gauge cluster, all the good business here with the tech in the Tucson. Did I answer everything you wanted to know? If not, ask me below. I'll try to get back to you. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.